Well, you know, I was looking forward to the opportunity to talk to Glenn Beck, but since he chickened out, I welcome the opportunity to speak directly to you, Mr. Del Rio. And since we've not been formally introduced, my name is Zeb Coulter. This is Jack Swagger. We are real Americans. Fellow citizens, fellow patriots, fellow Americans, we have a problem in this country. We have 11 million undocumented workers in this country. And I call them undocumented because the politically correct crowd refused to call them exactly what they are, illegals. And they want to reform the system. So how are they going to reform the system? They want to grant amnesty to those 11 million undocumented workers and put them on the path of citizenship. I don't know if anybody's looked around recently, but real Americans already have a tough job enough finding work. You know, those people sneak across our borders and they take our jobs, they take our medical services, they take our resources, and they stifle our productivity. But I don't want you to think that this is personal. It's not personal. No, it's not. It's not personal. What it is what you represent. You know what you represent to your people, Mr. Del Rio? You represent success. You represent the American dream. And you encourage millions of illegal people to sneak across our borders in search of that dream. But for those millions, I want them to know there's only one Alberto Del Rio success story. And for all those millions that fail, you know what they do? They conveniently forget to leave this country. That's exactly what they do. So I'm telling you, if you think we're going to stand by and watch this happen, we're not. Because I'm going to call it exactly what it is. I'm going to call, you know what we call people who stay in our country illegally? Let's forget all the politically correct crap. Let's call it exactly what it is. We call them criminals.
Hey! Enough!
No, I'm not through talking.
Yes!
No,
You're
I'm not.
talking!
I'm not through talking.
Your time to talk is over. Now it's time for you to shut up. America doesn't belong to you. America doesn't belong to me. This is the greatest country on earth because it belongs to everyone. I'm no different than you. And I'm no different than you, big mouth. You too, Jack, and you descend from immigrants. We are here for the same reason. We want to provide our families with a better life. This is the land of opportunity. We're here with the promise that if you work hard in America, everything is possible. And this man, Alberto Del Rio, is the living proof of that. And you think that you too can come out here, disrespect everybody, bully everybody, hiding behind the Constitution? Are you kidding me? You, 2 weeks ago, I didn't know anything about you. I've heard about people like you, but I never met one. Unfortunately, now I have. I've been saying this for weeks. I don't like bullies. So if you two have a problem with me and you have the cojones, why don't you do something to make us leave right now?
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, holy yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Never let mainstream publicity get in the way of a good punishment. Welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, talking all kinds of stuff wrestling as we're on the road to Wrestlemania, as well as looking ahead at Lockdown 1 week from tomorrow. How quickly the time flies. But, we're also taking a bit of a pit stop on the road to WrestleMania, as we've got in studio here with me Justin Henry, a writer of a number of different blogs. He writes for former host of this program, Eric Gargiulo's Camel Clutch blog. He writes for Blue Bar Cage. I believe, we'll get Justin on here in a minute to talk about, pimp all the various stuff, as not easy as it is. As well as a writer for Wrestlecrap.com, which is a site I'm very familiar with, and have certainly had many a laugh at some of the writings of that. And also joining us on the line, along with Justin, is the creator of Wrestlecrap.com's website, RD Reynolds. So we'll get to both gentlemen in. We'll start off with Justin. We'll get RD up here in just a minute. Justin, welcome to the program. Thanks for getting up fairly early to make the trek up here to be in studio.
Well, hey, thanks for having me on. I've never done radio before, so I'm a little bit nervous. Hopefully I don't blow this opportunity.
Well, look at it this way, and I say this to all the people who call into the show. You can hardly do worse than I have, and I've stuck around for almost 4 years now, so you needn't worry about a thing.
Clearly the bar is set very low.
Exactly. You don't, trust me, you don't have to worry about a thing. Let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you write. I know I've been plugging a lot of it on the BCB Pro Wrestling Weekly Facebook page. I've mentioned you quite a few times here on the program, and you do a lot of brilliant stuff. I know you just recently came along onto Wrestlecrap. How did that all come about?
I actually joined Wrestlecrap very early in 2011. At the time, I'd been friends with RD for about 6 months, and I'd secured an interview with him for Wrestling News Source, which is based out of England, which I got my start on there about 2010. And interviewed him, about 45-minute over Skype interview. I transcribed the whole thing because I'm not a tech guy. And not long after that, he noticed that I'd been doing some satire work for my own football blog, which is called Couch Groove Football. I did like Onion-style headlines, and just satire, things of that nature. And he says, would you mind doing something like that for Wrestlecrap? And I said, sure. And we came up with Headlies. And then since then, I've done a couple inductions. And since the site expanded in fall of 2012, we came up with a way of doing a more daily site. And since then, we brought in Matthew Gregg from Botchamania. We brought Sean Carlos back, Blade Braxton, obviously. And we just become this really big thing. It isn't just a Friday update anymore. It's more of an all-the-time thing.
Yeah, definitely. Every day there's something new brought into it. And to tell us even more about that, let's go to the phones here, where we've got the creator of all this insanity known as Wrestlecrap, RD Reynolds. RD, welcome to the program.
Well, it's great to be here, but I do have to say something that is a little bothersome. You talked about how we were on the road to WrestleMania and we're going to make a pit stop. And
well, I was trying to cleverly, note Wrestlecrap. I was trying to throw a little bit of radio cleverness in there, which, as usually is done on my show, it tends to backfire.
Oh, no, it's fine. The problem is when you say pit stop, I have bad flashbacks of fags and knobs and them stuffing people's heads into their arms.
Well, that was Pity City, and believe me, I almost was subjected to that firsthand when I interviewed the Nasty Boys this past summer. So believe me, I'm right there in that regard.
And they can't possibly smell any better than they once did.
No, that's like I said. This was summer. It was a fairly warm day. They had just a fan going on over there in George's Cards and Collectibles, but it was certainly one of the more trying and enduring interviews.
It was probably also one that you had to be very careful with the audio levels, because I don't know if you've noticed this. Brian Knobbs never talks.
He yells.
He only screams. Literally everything. And that's why it's always been one of my... I don't have much on a bucket list. I've been very blessed. I've been able to do a lot, and I don't have a lot of, bucket list items. But the one thing I do have on my bucket list is I really want to have Brian Knobbs do an audio book of one of my books.
Oh, wow.
And just have him scream for 3 hours the words I have written. I would think that would be like the ultimate. I don't care how many people come to the site. I really don't care, all that much how many books I sell. My whole goal from day one has always been to make people laugh. But that would be kind of the ultimate if I can get Brian Knobbs to just scream at people, and they're the words I've written.
Let me tell you something. The death of WCW.
Something like
There
that.
you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little sample there from Justin Henry of what Brian Knobbs will bring to the table.
That would be fantastic.
I could do it as Brian Knobbs if you wanted me to. I just, ghost talk. Not
Ghost talk
writing.
as opposed to ghost writing?
I could do that as Knobbs or Rey Mysterio. Take your pick.
Maybe it could be Nyan Brobs or something.
Nyan Brobs, yeah. So you don't get the trademark infringement or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm sure it's trademarked by somebody.
Just butters. Yeah.
Maybe Nyan Brobs is copyrighted. We don't know.
I'm sure Vince has trademarked all of that just to get Jerry McDevitt working 24/7 to try to make him a buck somewhere here or there.
I'm afraid of Jerry McDevitt. I wouldn't trust that man.
A lot of people are afraid of Jerry McDevitt.
He's a very intimidating man. That mustache is like a dead caterpillar aged 20 years.
So that's where Rick Rude's mustache went.
Poor Rick.
I know this is quickly degrading, but RD, tell us. What got you interested in creating the site initially? How long ago did you kind of for those who have never heard of the site, kind of give a quick, fairly quick at least, kind of intro on how all this got started.
Sure. It was a justification of I spent too much money on a computer, and I decided that I needed to justify having spent $3,099 on this computer that I bought. I was like, okay, I spent all this money. I really need to do something with it, because otherwise, I spent all this money, and for what? I could have done something way cooler with that $3,000 back in 1999. And so I just, I'm going to start a website. And so I was like, I'm going to start a video game website. And there are a million video game websites. And it's like, okay, I'm going to start a wrestling website. And there were a bunch of wrestling websites even back then. You had Scoops with Al Isaacs, and just a lot of people. And so I was like, okay, I got to do something completely, I got to do something different. And I've always had a fascination with the worst of things. And it actually came from, I remember when I was a child, I read, there was a book that my parents had. It was the Book of Lists. And it was just a bunch of random lists. And one of the lists was the worst movies ever made. And now you would see, tons of, you can't, 2 days can't go by before you see a list like that on the internet. But back in the day, before there was the internet, I had this book, and it was telling me these movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space, where, people would run into, they had this fake cemetery, and people would walk along, and the gravestones would fall over because it was so fake. And there was a movie where John Wayne played some Fu Manchu or something. I don't even remember what it was.
Genghis Khan.
I was like, man,
It was Genghis Khan.
Oh, there you go, Genghis Khan.
And that was the movie where at least five people got forms of cancer because they were downwind of a nuclear plant. Because they were filming out in Utah. This Mongolian epic.
That is insane Genghis Khan knowledge.
I just know that because I don't know why I know that. I just know the most random of things.
I was just going to say, if anybody ever questioned why I brought Justin Henry on board, it's for knowledge such as that. So I have always had a fascination with the worst of things, and I'd seen so many horrible things in wrestling. And one night I was talking with a buddy of mine. His name's Merle Vincent Grigg, and he he said, man, did you watch Nitro tonight? And I was like, no, I missed it. He goes, oh, man, they had the worst thing ever on there. And I was like, well, you've never seen the gobbledygooker then. And that led into a discussion, a 2-hour discussion of all the worst things that we had seen in wrestling. And then we were like, you know what? There's the website. And so that's how we came up with it. It launched April 1st, 2000. And right before it launched, I was still trying to come up with a name for it. And I come up with all these, names, WrestlingHallOfShame.com, WorstOfWrestling.com. And I wanted something really short and to the point. And I said, I looked at my wife and I said, what do you think of Wrestlecrap.com? And she rolled her eyes and went, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, perfect reaction. That's what we're going with. And so, yeah, we launched April 1st, 2000. So we've been around for almost 13 years now.
That's some crazy stuff. And already the Facebook fan page, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly's certainly got some reaction. Regarding your Brian Knobs story, John throwing on a horrible line, says he has broken volume knobs or something.
That's why they call him Knobs.
That may be it.
I have some other theories, but I don't think they're safe for air.
That was like a menopause joke or something.
Oh. That's certainly possible as well. And John also has been gracious enough, along with the tongue-in-cheek humor, to throw up the links to all the various sites of the stuff that Justin has written for WrestleCrap.com, CamelClutchBlog.com, BlueBarCage.blogspot.com, as well as Botchamania.com.
Oh, yeah,
getting all the bases covered.
I forgot I wrote for Blue Bar Cage.
How'd you forget? Didn't you just write for it like 2 days ago?
I do so much. I'm like Samuel L. Jackson. I'm in everything.
You're in everything? Because that's what you do.
That's what I do.
Samuel L. Jackson playing Mark Henry.
Yes, Sin Cara deserved to die, and I hope it burns in hell.
Oh, no. That... All right, I think that's the perfect spot to take a time out. We got to take care of our first bit of business. RD, hang on the line. We'll come back to you after the break here, and we'll talk a little bit more. We'll also get a little bit more of an update on what's going on in TNA. I've got that audio clip coming your way, and more with Justin Henry and RD Reynolds from WrestleCrap.com here on Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.